LCTV is your nonprofit community media station. Please donate at lctv.org to keep us strong. Thank you.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to Talkin Town Talk. I'm Larry Seidlinger for LCTV, and today we are in Waldoboro, and we're in a special place in Waldoboro. We're at the Waldo Theater, the revitalized, revamped, reincarnated, whatever you want to call it. We're at the Waldo Theater, and with me is my special guest, the Executive Director, Susan Hodder. And Susan, welcome to Talkin Town Talk.
Thank you so much, Larry.
So we're going to dig right into this. I feel like there's ghosts in here listening to what we're talking. So I'm going to try not to stumble or stutter or blink too much. But tell us a little bit about Susan Hodder and the Waldo Theater to start with.
Okay. I started as the executive director here in October of 2022.
8 or 9 months into it.
Yes, that's correct. And it has been a wild and really fun ride so far. I come to this position from an interesting background. I grew up in the Boston area, a suburban girl, and
we call them city girls. If you're in the country, you're a city girl. My mom was from Dorchester. So she was always a city girl, lived here almost her whole life, 50, and she was still a city girl.
Yeah, well, for me it was really the burbs, and I did a lot of community theater my whole life.
As an actor?
As an actor, as a director, as a set designer, as a board member, choreographer, all kinds of things. Very active in the arts in my school years. In fact, I'm an art school grad as well. And so the arts have always been where my heart is. And I lived in the Boston area, and that's when the whole Massachusetts Miracle, Silicon Valley East, high-tech stuff was happening.
The 128.
I graduated college, and 128 was just
booming.
And so I wound up in a corporate job, and I hadn't really expected that, but there it was. And I was, pretty smart, and wound up climbing the corporate ladder pretty quickly. And it was never anything I aspired to, but there it was. Right at the turn of the millennium, I was vice president for a strategic marketing firm in Cambridge, Mass. And my husband was director of internet development for the Massachusetts Medical Society, put the New England Journal of Medicine online. We had a nice house in Lexington, and I had my daughter. She was 13 at the time. 9/11 happened. And we decided it was time to make a change. And we quit our jobs, sold our house, and bought a bed and breakfast in Boothbay Harbor.
Culture shock?
Fabulous, best choice we ever made. We ran what was essentially a 14-room boutique hotel that sat in the middle of Boothbay Harbor, up on the hill, magnificent, like 300-degree water view. And we did that for 13 years. I found out during that time that I loved making breakfast for people. I loved waiting on people and working in the hospitality field. Very active in the Chamber of Commerce. I was the chair of the marketing committee there for 5 years because with my background and skills...
Kind of a natural.
There was a lot that I could do with that here. And I discovered that it was a long, cold winter where the tourists go away and the mortgage payment doesn't. So I began volunteering on the boards of the Opera House in Boothbay Harbor and a couple of other nonprofits as well. I did some consulting, and then Ocean Classroom Foundation moved into town to Boothbay Harbor, right down the street, and I walked down the hill to see if they needed a hand. And 3 months later, I was the managing director of Ocean Classroom Foundation.
Careful what you ask for.
Careful what you wish for. So I did that for 5 years, and that was a great joy. Experiential education was something that was very meaningful to me. And I learned during that process, I worked for other organizations as well, Hurricane Island Foundation up in Rockland, did some work for Friends of Thai Daughters and things like that. And I discovered that nonprofit was where I really wanted to be. I would much rather spend my time helping an organization help people better their lives in one way or another than try to sell somebody a piece of software or hardware I could care less about.
It's almost like watching a child grow, isn't it?
Absolutely.
Compared to the corporate structure, and we've all experienced it either from the inside or the outside, how cold, cruel it can be, and unassuming and uncaring at times.
Yeah. So that was my life. We sold our inn in 2016, and I decided it was time to reinvent myself yet again. I walked down to the Booth Bay Region greenhouses because they were looking for a floral designer. I had done my own flowers for my wedding and stuff, and I thought, I'm an artist, I can do this. And Kitty and Bob Boyd, who owned it, knew me from the chamber, and they said, would you be interested in managing for us? So I wound up managing the flower shop at the greenhouse for 5 years, and they decided to sell last fall, and so I left there for this. I was cruising the job postings on the Maine Association of Nonprofits.
The next phase of your life?
Exactly. What am I going to do this time? And I used to call myself a jack of all trades, master of none, but my daughter has corrected me and said that I am multi-passionate. So I took my theater passion and my marketing and nonprofit management skills. I was cruising the Maine Association of Nonprofits job board, and I saw that the Waldo Theater was looking for an executive director. And I was very fortunate that I was able to bring my love of theater and the arts together with my professional skills. And it's literally a dream come true.
So let's talk about this dream.
Yeah.
This reinvented, beautiful facility. And in full disclosure, I don't think I told you before, my brother actually 40-something years ago, when it went through one of its reincarnations, actually painted inside here.
Oh, wow.
He was the painting contractor on the time. It was 40+ years ago. So talk to us a little bit about how Waldo came from this building that was leaking water and everything didn't work to where it is this beautiful facility that holds these fun events. Tell us a little bit how that all came about.
Sure. Back in, many of the audience probably know that back in 1935, Carol Cooney, a lumber executive with long family ties to the Waldoboro region, decided to build this theater. And he hired a renowned architect who was a specialist in contemporary theater design. He also worked on Lincoln Center, the Kennedy Center, and the Sydney Opera House. So
pretty good resume.
That is some skill to be bringing
pretty good resume
to Midcoast Maine. And so they created and built this amazing little theater. I call it a little gem. It's got incredible acoustics.
Oh, indeed it does.
And the Association of Motion Picture Owners or whatnot voted it, named it one of the best designed theaters in the country back in the day. And I mean, that speaks volumes. So it was run very successfully for a number of years. And then when television came around, it really took a bite out of the film business.
Like a lot of theaters did.
Yeah.
A lot of the small community theaters. You have Booth Bay Opera House, you have this theater, you have the Camden Theater, the Lincoln Theater in Damascotta.
Yeah.
A lot of them took a hit.
Yeah,
and
a big hit.
Through the generosity of the communities have making a second life.
Right, and that's sort of coming around again. But in 1957, it was closed and had a couple of other lives as a Masonic hall and a doctor's office and whatnot. And then in the 80s, it was acquired by Kitty Fassett, a local concert pianist and philanthropist, and she helped to fund it and renovate it and get it going again. And it operated very successfully for, 15 years or so. And then she bequeathed it, if you will, to a nonprofit organization, the Waldo Theater, Inc., and they ran it for a while. But it's a very difficult business to sustain, just like the original owners being impacted by television. Operating a theater is a very expensive thing. Showing films is very challenging, especially in today's climate.
Oh my gosh, yes.
All the big theaters are going under because the distribution mechanisms have changed. People are watching anything they want at home.
Whenever they want.
Right, whenever they want. So film alone is a tough way to make a theater run. Anyone who's had any interest or engagement in community theater or performing arts understands that making that run successfully is really challenging as well. And so what we're trying to do here now is offer a wide range of programming. We're doing films, concerts, original plays, spoken word, comedy, you name it. We're hoping to offer a range of programming to the folks in the Waldoboro area and greater Lincoln and Knox counties, and see what they want to see what is inspiring to them, to bring them out, what will make them get off their couch and come to the theater. So
it's a destination almost, or an event destination.
Exactly.
A reason to go see something.
Yeah. So in 2016, I guess the building had been placed on the list of most endangered historic places in Maine. And a group of local citizens got together and decided that they couldn't let this building completely fall apart. And it was. The roof was in very bad shape, tons of water damage. I mean, it had to be really seriously redone. And they were able to raise enough money to put on a new roof and fix the interior and add some more modern technology. We have live streaming capability now, which is great. We've been able to send some shows out to the islands. And they've managed to get it up and running. 2022 was the first full year of program offerings. And in 2023, we've virtually doubled the number of programs that we're offering compared to 2022.
So let's talk a little bit about programs. You have a children's program here.
We do. Education is a really important part of our mission. We have a marvelous education director. Her name is Mia Bronco, and she is heading our in-school, after-school, and summer camp programs. So our in-school programs are largely grant-funded, and it enables us to bring theater education into the elementary school, specifically 3rd to 6th grade, and we're working with several local schools in the RSU 40 district. And it's not just going in and putting on a play, it's teaching kids how to use their imagination, how to use their voice, how to use their body to tell a story, how to be confident speaking in front of people, how to have fun and collaborate with others. It's interesting. I have this personal theory that our schools have a tendency to put a great deal of emphasis on sports, on team sports. They're always really well funded, but the arts are always the first things that get cut when budgets are tight. And that's really unfortunate because working on a play for kids is very much like playing on a team in a sport. In a sport, you've got a coach. In theater, you've got a director. You have to try out to make the team. You have to be really good at what you're doing in order to get that spot. And then you have to work with your teammates. Collectively, you have to learn how to put it all together to achieve a goal. With a sport, you're trying to win a game. With theater, you're trying to put on a play to please an audience.
To win the audience.
To win the audience's favor, absolutely. And there are some kids for whom sports is just not their thing. But the lessons to be learned in the team activity of theater are every bit as valuable and viable as they are in sport. You make incredible friendships and tight bonds. You learn to rely on each other. You learn to hold up your own end. And it's You make great relationships and friendships that last a lifetime.
Well, there has to be another Susan Harder in this group that when they're getting a little more experience in their life, to take these theaters and keep them running.
Absolutely, yes. Yeah, it worked for me. And the board and the staff that we have here are absolutely incredible. This place would not be where it is today without the incredible volunteers that we have.
How important is it to a nonprofit to have an engaged board?
Oh, absolutely critical, especially just starting out again. We have a very interesting dynamic. Many of our board members are working to support the theater on a day-to-day basis. Carrie Lupian is our board president, and she has taken on the responsibility of booking the majority of our music acts, our concerts. And she's phenomenal at it.
She's a dynamo.
She's a dynamo. Liz McGregor, another dynamo. She's got a great documentary film background. That's her specialty. And so she's booking our films and our film events. And that's one of the things we're doing differently here. We talked earlier about the films being tough because of the way distribution and whatnot's changing. One of the things I'm pushing here is what I call Film Plus. And so you can watch a movie at home on your couch. Why would you pay to come to the theater and watch it? Well, when we're showing films here, we're showing things that you might not be able to see on your couch, but also we'll bring in the filmmaker for a discussion and a talk back afterward. Or we'll do the film with a sing-along, like The Sound of Music that we did right after Thanksgiving last year. Huge success. Vast majority of people came in costume. We had great prizes donated by local businesses. Everyone was so engaged and enthusiastic. Now we're going to do Grease. We're doing a sing-along of Grease in July.
Oh, that'd be interesting.
And then we're going to do a White Christmas sing-along right after Thanksgiving. And that one's going to be a little more like Rocky Horror meets White Christmas, very engaging. Every time they say snow, we throw cotton balls. So we're doing things like that to get people engaged. The engagement is really important for building community, and community is what the Waldo is all about. We're very cognizant of our location and the history of the theater and of the community at large. And building community is absolutely critical to our mission.
I couldn't agree more with you, Susan.
And it's really important that no matter who you are or how you live or what you do for a living, you have every right to come and experience the wonderful things that we have here at the theater. So we work really hard to keep our ticket prices as low as possible, to make sure that everybody has access. We work with a community navigator in town so that families who could otherwise not afford to send their kids to an after-school acting program or a summer camp or have a membership at the Waldo or come to see a show. We work with them to make sure that everybody has access.
Do you get feedback from the community? I know, of course, as we're both well aware of, LCTV just had Elton John here at the Waldo just about a month ago.
Sold out.
A sold-out show of Elton John. Do you get from the other businesses, the Narrows restaurant and whatnot, how important when you have a show here it is to their business that day?
Absolutely. As a matter of fact, I just had dinner over at the Narrows last night in between meetings and was chatting with Lulu, and she said, when there's a show at the Waldo, they get slammed. They have a line out the door waiting for people to have dinner, and when the show's over, people come in for a nightcap.
Yep.
And I'm
I bet
sure
Moody's
the same
Diner
thing,
will tell you the same
I'm sure
thing.
the same thing is happening at Moody's and at Bullwinkle's and at Odd Alewives and at Perch. So we're really happy to be participating in sort of the economic revival of the village here.
Those are all the fun things. What are the challenges to running this old building
Yeah.
that's been updated and upgraded? I can vouch for some of your staff here. Eddie Holm, fantastic.
Amazing sound guy.
Amazing. He is steady Eddie.
Yep.
I never see him get too excited one way or the other, and the pressure is always on.
Yep.
Alex does the lights, the front end folks. But what are the challenges keeping people involved and also funding this thing? You're a 501c3 nonprofit.
We are. And when we have a big name act come in and tickets get sold really quickly, and maybe those tickets are a little bit more expensive, the little bit of profit that we make from that event helps to fund the other events. And funding is absolutely key. We are struggling, quite honestly, with the fundraising piece. We've been really focused on programming. We are just launching our membership program now, and that means that we have 4 levels of membership to be a part of the Waldo, anywhere from $25 to $500 a year, and that means you get things like free movie passes and Waldo swag. You get a hat or a T-shirt or whatnot. Last-minute ticket offers, special events that are members only, all kinds of things like that. And membership dues help us. We're doing a business partners program, and businesses participate as well, and they get exposure to the audiences that they're trying to reach, and they get to help fund the economic revival that we're seeing here by helping to offset our expenses. And we work with a part-time grant writer as well, who is feverishly working to explain our mission and our need and get that out there to various foundations and organizations to try to help us get the money that we need to keep it going.
Another tricky job, grant writing.
Absolutely, very much so.
How much do you find the theater, of course, since 1935 has changed dramatically, but social media, a word that we never even heard of in our youth. How has social media changed the way the theater operates today? Because what you're competing against is the technology of TV, but yet what you're using to your advantage, hopefully, is the social media aspect to get your mission out.
Absolutely. Social media is one of the greatest things for a nonprofit because it's really low-cost way to get your message out to the world. So we have very active Facebook and Instagram accounts, and one of these days we are going to start producing some reels and, getting on TikTok.
Newsletter?
We have a very successful monthly e-news that shares with people everything that's coming up in the coming month, hopefully so that you can get your tickets in time, because we have been selling out a number of shows, which is really great news. We've also, though, had to cancel or reschedule a couple of shows because the ticket sales have not been what we hoped. And that's always discouraging. But
as one who's experienced that, it was very discouraging.
It was very discouraging, and so we're learning as we go. And
there's value to that.
Absolutely. I'm really looking at this as a learning year for the organization as well as for me. And I'm a really data-driven kind of girl in my management background and whatnot. So
that's that corporate ladder that's coming back to what you learned.
So I take all the data of our ticket sales and our program participation and all the demographics and, roll it all up together with anecdotal stuff. We talk to our audiences all the time about what they want to see and what kind of programming is interesting to them, both from an entertainment and from an education standpoint, so that we can do that. We've been able to offer some master classes, for example, with really talented professional artists who will come in and share their skills. When Victor Wooten and Steve Bailey were here in the fall, we had a master class on the bass, playing the bass. We had 90 people here. That was amazing. In collaboration with Midcoast Music Academy. And
that's who's driving the bus in any band, is the bass player.
Absolutely. And it was the most fantastic experience. We're hoping for additional funding this year so that we can keep bringing these exceptional types of performances to the people of Waldoboro. And
So I have to ask you before we get too far along here. I'm sure you and the board have a master plan of 3 to 5 years out. Where do you see? Of course, as being a director of a nonprofit myself, we're always trying to live for tomorrow. But we have to look down the road to where we hope to be.
Yeah.
Where do you hope to see the Waldo?
Sustainability is really important to us. So first we have to try and make the numbers work so that we'll be here 3 and 5 years down the road. We've been working this season, this spring, with the board and the staff and a few advisors and, influencers and whatnot on strategic visioning for the organization. Really re-examining everywhere from our mission statement to our values and our strategic vision, asking everyone, where do you see the Waldo in 3 years, 5 years, 10 years? And we're in the process of putting that together. There are things about this facility that are absolutely ideal for what we're doing, and there are other things that are challenging. We really need to upgrade our lighting board, for example, and our lighting equipment. Right now, we're all on incandescent, and everything's moving to LED, and LED makes it so much easier
and
to function, and better for the environment and all that. And we want to move toward that, but that's a big investment. We have a heat and air conditioning system here that we've had to put a bunch of money into repairing, and it's really going to need to be replaced moving forward. So we have to keep our eye on things like that. We're desperate to do some landscaping out front so that the entrance of our building is just as warm and welcoming as the interior is, and so that it gives us an extended space for people to hang out and socialize, to gather on the lawn, to sit on benches, to, enjoy the summer evening during intermission and things like that. So there's a lot that we want to do, and we're working on that plan now.
Trying to get that message across to people that this really is an economic driver, or an economic engine that's just really getting a foothold.
Absolutely.
As we talked earlier about the restaurants and whatnot, but people come, they buy gas, they stop at the convenience stores, they stop at Hannafin and do something. It is an economic driver in the community, in the downtown community.
Yep, theater goers eat, shop, and stay in the Waldoboro area. We've got the new Waldoboro Inn about to open next door.
Next door. The old Stalls Tavern.
And talking to them, great neighbors. They are already
excited over the top.
They are already getting reservations from people who are driving up or down to see a specific show we've got booked this summer, and they're going to be staying next door. What more could you ask for as a new business starting out than to have a driver like that right next door? Yeah. And it's wonderful for us because it gives us an opportunity to have a great place for some of those performers themselves to stay.
Which, if they're coming any distance, you have to do.
Yeah, and we're doing a lot of collaboration with other businesses in town. We're working with Nancy, the pastor at the Broad Bay Church, and Lynn at Perch, and a number of other folks in the area on some events in June. We're going to do a Pride celebration in June. We've got a show opening.
You've got a 250th birthday in the town of Waldo.
We do.
What are your plans for that?
We're celebrating Waldo's 250th birthday on the weekend of the 17th and 18th because the theater's origin was film. We're showing 3 films on the Saturday and 1 on the Sunday, all free to the public, open all day, and we'll be here to give tours and basically make sure that everyone in the Waldoboro community has a chance to come in the doors and see the theater and experience what Waldoboro has to offer.
She's a grand old dame.
She is.
To say the least. And it's been just a thrill for us at LCTV to have our fundraisers over here. And like I said, we had Elton John in the last waltz, and we had the Rolling Stones tribute. And Lord knows what's coming up in the future. But who have you got this summer for really that artist that you just need to see?
Oh, gosh. We have a lot. In terms of names, the folks with hair like you and me are going to recognize Roger McGuinn.
Oh, my goodness, yes.
From the Byrds.
Yep.
He is coming in September, which is super exciting. We've got some folks who are
Will he
have
do,
been.
excuse me, will he do an acoustical?
He will.
Okay,
Yeah,
cool.
yeah.
I have to remember, I have to write that one down.
Yeah. And
As
the
a
tickets,
wannabe guitar player, I got to see
the
that.
tickets are on sale on our website.
Oh, cool.
Tickets to all our summer events are on the website or will be shortly. We have to wait for, confirmations and contractual obligations and
Understand
whatnot
all
for some
that.
of them, but that's
Yeah.
happening. We've got Michaela Davis coming pretty soon. We've got His Golden Messenger coming back. They had a really successful show with us last year. And, oh gosh, Brett Denin's coming. A lot of singer-songwriters. We've got some local jazz happening next month. And this weekend, May 20th and 21st, we're having the staged reading of an original new play called Deployed. And it features the stories of female veterans from the U.S. military.
Interesting.
It's based on their actual accounts. It's written by a couple of women from Vermont. And we are performing it as a staged reading directed by Anna Belknap, who is a Damariscotta-based
She sure
actress,
is.
who I know you know her well. And she has had a very successful career out in Hollywood. She's starred
She
in
sure did.
CSI New York for a number of years.
And she has been a guest on Talkin' Town Talk.
And her husband, Eric Siegel, is producing the show, and Anna is directing it. And we have a cast of 7 local women, some veterans, some not, some experienced actresses, some new to it, performing this weekend. So I really encourage everyone to come out. It's a benefit. The tickets are only $10. If you're a veteran, admission is free.
Will they do that show again later in the fall?
No plans to do that right now, but it's certainly possible. We are producing another play in the fall. We're doing something called Homegrown by Carmo Sanders, who is probably familiar to you as the Mardens lady.
Oh, yes.
She
Yep.
teaches theater down at University of Southern Maine. And this is her original script that had a really successful run in Portland. And
Comedy?
hysterical comedy.
I
Very
couldn't see her
Maine.
do anything but comedy, but
Very Maine, laugh out loud stuff, great characters. So we'll be announcing auditions for that in June and performing that in September, October timeframe. And we hope to be doing a Christmas show as well. So lots of community theater coming back, which people have really been asking for.
interesting.
We've got comedy coming this summer. We've got spoken word. We've got a drag show. We've got all kinds of things going on.
All good stuff.
Yeah.
So before we wrap this up, Susan, what is the one thing that I haven't asked that you need to let the folks know about the Waldo?
Come to the theater. If you haven't been through the doors yet, please come through the doors. Experience what we have to offer. Everyone is welcome at the Waldo. Absolutely. There's something for everyone here, and community is what we're all about.
Enjoy the experience.
That's it.
So for Talkin' Town Talk, I want to say thank you to my guest, the executive director here at the Waldo Theater, Miss Susan Harder. I'm Larry Seidlinger for Talkin' Town Talk, and join us next Saturday or sometime down the road. We'll be somewhere talking to somebody. Thanks a lot, folks, and hope you enjoyed the show as much as I did talking to Miss Harder. See you next time.
LCTV is your nonprofit community media station. Please donate at lctv.org to keep us strong. Thank you.